body tells him now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can.
Good Lord. This is quite the Fable.
Listen in colour.
Hi everyone, welcome to Listen in Colour with me, Rachel Walker-Mason. Just for you, amazing renegades, we have Money Game Part 3. Right, before it even kicks in, I need to talk about that introduction. So, from my classical music background of listening to a lot of stuff like this, that is Grieg's piano concerto in A minor. So it's usually played by an orchestra. You get that big grand opening. Here it's on piano, and it's lovely, really well played. On a big, gorgeous grand piano there. So is that Ren? I can't tell, he's got a bag on his head, so I don't know. I get scared of this whole bag on a head situation. Okay. That's another head in a bag.
Tell you a story.
Right, so at 2:14, and he's only just started actually singing lyrics. That was such a compelling opening. I was not expecting that. Having watched part 1 and 2, I thought, okay, so the pattern is 1 is like the acoustic version, 2 is like the more built-up studio version. This will be like the full bifter with like a big band and stuff. But no, it is not. It's like the kind of classical stripped back piano version, and then this gorgeous, almost like choir boy sound he's making in the ooh, ooh, and then does this a kind of sound. He's got such a great command over his voice, and he is not worried about sounding ugly at points. If that's the sound he wants to make, to put a point across or a feeling across, he just does it. I love that. There's a lot of artists who want to sound pretty all the time, and that's fine. But sometimes you need a bit of grit and a bit of ugly in there to get a point across. And I love that he can just do that with his voice. He's so capable, and it makes you kind of go, oh, it just catches you off guard all the time. You're like, oh, I feel like it's comfortable here. I think I know where we are. And then he does something else, and you realise you're not on the firm footing that you thought you were on musically, which I love that I'm always kept on my toes with Ren. I love that. I really do. Okay. And doesn't he look nice in a suit? Oh, seeing him in a vest and with a bag on his head and stuff. It's quite nice. Very good. Okay, here we go. Let's get into the singing.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17, and he sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18, and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 9.
Good Lord. This is quite the fable. Wow. As a mother of 2, that is basically what we tell our children to do. Like, you need to work hard, you need to achieve, you need to kind of prove yourself, you need to, I don't know, give something good to the world. 5 years old, his daddy told him, a man works for what he wants. Yes, I would agree with that. It's good to work for what you want. It's good to have goals. It's good to work for those goals. I would agree with that. And then, yeah, we do praise our children for excellent grades and working hard and good report cards and things like that. I'm a very praise-driven person. I'm hugely motivated by achievements and setting goals and achieving them. That's what I like to do. And that's how I was raised. And I think a lot of people were. So I don't see anything wrong with this yet. But then suddenly it turns from a nice story about a childhood into like, questionable things. It's when his daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. That's the point where it turns, and it's not about living a good life and doing well. It's about acquiring money, and as much money as possible by any means. Son, money is the means to all ends. Wow. And then clearly this kid is smart and he's solving mathematical equations and then develops this complex software code that detects weaknesses in cyber security protocol. Blimey. But you can just see with that talent and ability in the wrong hands, someone who's got no moral centre or no good moral centre, where they would, there's that old adage that my mum always used to say, stand for something or you'll fall for anything. And this poor kid has been told by his dad, money is the means to all ends. So he's like, great, I will use my brains to do these things which are questionable, but will make me a lot of money. And so in his mind, he's succeeding because that's what his dad told him to do. And so when we're given information like that is so formative, it's very hard to shake that. It's very, very hard to shake if, like, you were told when you were younger that you were stupid or that you were ugly or that you never amount to anything. It's really, really hard to shake that little voice that just lives inside your head, rent-free. If you're watching on a mobile, you have the chance to hype this video. So if you like it, hype it. The link is down here.
Practically a millionaire. 18 and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns that truth is just an obstacle to wealth if you manipulate.
Oh my gosh, this is so smart. This is terrifying. It's really scary. It's like, you know, when you watch Wolf of Wall Street, it's that really long film with Leonardo DiCaprio, and you think, how can people be that terrible? But it's being taught that this is the way to do things. And that's very much how we are, particularly in areas of business where it is, buying and selling and doing all these things. You need to make hard decisions a lot, and you can't allow emotions to get involved. And I'm too emotional a person to be that kind of human, but it's really interesting to see these choices that people make. So this kid is now 19, turning a profit. He's investing. He's doing all the things that his dad thinks are brilliant. They're probably good financial choices, to be fair. Invest in product. In 21, his income rockets. He's still really young and got all this money. This is brilliant. 21, his income rockets. This little bit here.
Income rockets. 22, he learns that truth is just an...
At 22, he learns that truth is just an obstacle to wealth. That is a line. Wow. How sad that is true. And how many times have we seen it in history of people not telling the truth and benefiting from that? How many times do we see it nowadays? Like people deciding to stay quiet. You see a lot of court cases coming up nowadays with celebrities and things, and you're like, oh, people stayed quiet for a long time about that. But often because, money talks. Like you can bribe people into things, or you can threaten them by ruining them financially, and people are like, maybe I won't speak the truth about this then. Because, the truth is an obstacle to wealth. That is sadly true. But what a sad world that is now the case, and how hard it is to live trying to keep that not the truth in your life. Trying to do that the other way around when a lot of the world is like that. That is hard. That is really hard. And then the next line is amazing. There we go.
Obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself.
Wow. I mean, that makes me think about Brexit quite a lot. A lot of that was data that's manipulated, and we just take in as just normal citizens, we accept the data that's given to us because that's what we're taught to do. We're taught to listen to people in charge saying, this is bad, this is good, do this thing. And so quite often they'll manipulate data to make something seem worse than it is, or seem more dangerous than it is. And what's interesting is that the more you end up in these kind of echo chambers nowadays, because that's how social media is, that the things you already believe, like your social media picks up on that, and it will just keep giving you the same information again. And so you'll think, yes, I'm right. Yes, I'm right. All of the news articles or the bits I'm reading, which keep being presented to me by various social media sites, are telling me the same thing. But it's because they've already worked out how your brain works. And so they just keep giving you the same information. So that's how people can be so convinced of things that other people will think, why on earth do you think that? Like when you look at election results, like some people genuinely thought somebody else was going to win the American election, and because they'd only listened to things that were saying that. So they were really stunned by the results. So it's fascinating seeing how easily manipulated we are by people that we are taught to trust. It's quite a scary world, isn't it? It's really quite scary. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself.
Income rockets. 22, he learns that truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24, he makes the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25, and his daddy tells him, listen here son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28, inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy's...
Oh my gosh, yes, it has taken the dark turn that I thought it would. No longer happy just selling stocks and shares and things. It's like switching to selling guns and other ammunition to help fund wars and things, and then gets a seat, like able to... Then when you've got that much money and that much power, you can basically buy your way into things, which is how really questionable people get into places that they probably shouldn't.
29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy says you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. 31, a big manoeuvre for his daddy's approval. Moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba. 32, moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33, filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34, turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the po-po inside of his pocket.
Wow. It's terrifying. This is really terrifying. And so interesting that he starts making these choices because his dad says, you're not really achieving as much as I thought. Like, you ain't all that. So he's making more and more dodgy choices that lead to really bad things because of what his dad is saying to him. Like, you're still nobody, really. Or you haven't really achieved much yet, or you're only second in command, you're not actually president, you're not actually in charge, you're just, in waiting. I love to prove that I am all the things that my dad wanted me to be. And so I'm very motivated by someone telling me I can't do something, or someone challenging me to something. I'll be like, yeah, I'll take that. For some people, it crushes them and they're like, oh no, I won't achieve it. But I know a lot of my achievements I have because someone told me I couldn't. So I'm like, yeah, watch me. But I don't think any of those things have caused, enormous harm to the world. But this guy here in this song, so created wars and there's no one to stop all these horrendous things because the police are in his pocket. He owns the police. It's frightening.
Blind eye from the po-po inside of his pocket. 35, he gets a call. I'm sorry, son, but it's your father. Had a heart attack, I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed up, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion. Heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They retaliate and leave him in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebra and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck.
This is unbelievable. It's so interesting. And having the phone ring and him answering the phone, saying that his dad has died and he spirals out of control and this world that he's created, he's now able to abuse it because he's hurting. And it's all gone a bit, it's not panning out great for him at the moment. He's now made some really poor choices and in a very destructive kind of mindset, almost like he doesn't care what happens to him anymore because his dad's gone, and that his dad was like his guiding light, like the person who would say, go and do this next. You need to go make me proud by going to do this next. Not that his dad was bright particularly, but that is who he looked to as his compass, and he's gone. So I don't know how this is going to end. It's scary. It's like the most horrible kind of cautionary tale. It's an extreme cautionary tale, but it's there. I love how musically there's very little going on. It's just Ren, mostly rapping. There's no choruses. It's just all this story.
I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck. Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city, 44 inside a palace with a mountain of gold. But those riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck the money and fame. Cut the music.
Wow. That took a turn. I mean, I'm a sucker for strings, and that coming in with this beautiful, like mournful, long string sounds of that string quartet. And it went back and told the story, but from him at 40, cursing the words, gimme, gimme, mine, gimme, gimme, that he learned as a baby, and not being able to walk because now he's lost the use of his legs. And so it just parallels the childhood he had and cursing all those things he heard and those choices he made, because now he's living a life that it maybe isn't what he wanted. Lamborghini for a life. Ah. And then we can think, yes, he's made terrible choices. Oh dear, poor Jimmy. Bad choices, bad life, bad dad. But then Ren does that annoying thing where he goes, yeah, he's a version of me, a version of Ren, and a version of us, a version of you. And it's like, that's quite confronting, isn't it? You can't then look away. I think that's what is so brilliant and so upsetting about Ren's videos, that you cannot escape the questions that he asks and the accusations he makes. Because yeah, we are all the same, and we may not have, sold guns, to different countries, and we may not have done things like that, but we're all guilty of these things to a much lesser extent. But it could be any of us that make these poor choices. And the idea of, put your hand in the cookie jar, take more than you need.
Pop the music. This isn't entertainment. This is real life. The way we live is lunacy. Community, it declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we designed. Money's an invention. Politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention. Law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution?
What's the solution?
Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me, then there's no future I see where the humans survive. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface then consumes till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise. "45. Jimmy comes home out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father. It's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game.
Okay. Wow, that end section was, it kind of went where I thought it was going to go and then it didn't. So I thought, he says, my solution, and talks about, the fact that we could make changes. It's very difficult to, but to start, using our brains to start actually building these utopias, we could make a better world. Then he's like, that's probably not going to happen because we're all awful. And then the last bit of Jimmy's story. Oh, that was so powerful. And I know I found Money Game Part 1 really upsetting. It made me feel quite sick. I'm really glad that you guys encouraged me to watch the other parts, because those three pieces together are an absolute work of art, and they're great separately, but together they are a masterpiece. And that just shows the range and the versatility and the incredible mind that Ren has, that he's not just like, oh, we'll always have a guitar and I'll rap. Like, he goes for a completely different musical setup each time. That must have been a conscious choice, because I wouldn't think he'd do anything without thought. He seems like he's very intentional about the things he does and the choices he makes. And this one, Part 3, quite a few of you said, wait till you see Money Game Part 3. And I thought, okay, how good can it be? But actually, wow. Wow, wow, wow. More people should know about Ren, not just for the music, but for the message. Like, I have learned so much in the last hour of watching these videos, and it's really made me think about the choices I make and what is being said in schools to our children, and what we value, what's important to us in life. I've said before, Ren for Prime Minister. How different would the world be if someone like this was in charge and wouldn't put up with all the crap that, all the lies and things? It's incredibly confronting and challenging, even when you think you're a good person. We're all caught up in this money game. Please remember to like, subscribe, share and comment. I can't wait to hear what you think about this video, so keep those comments coming. And remember to have a colourful day.
Yay! Listening